Girls, how was your night? I hope it was enjoyable. Welcome to today's lesson. I would like to continue with the revision of science. And today we are revisiting question number 10, then we go on. Question number 10 was asking, which one of the following lists contains bacterial diseases only? Which one of the following lists contains bacterial diseases only? And I have endeavored to look to give you a table that would contain both bacterial, fungal, and viral diseases. Let's begin by listing bacterial diseases because they seem to be the most in number. Bacterial diseases may include TB for tuberculosis, TB for tuberculosis, tetanus. Tetanus is also a bacterial disease. Tetanus is also a bacterial disease. Whooping cough. Whooping cough, I want to write it WC because of the space here. Whooping cough. Influenza is also a bacterial disease. Influenza is also a bacterial disease. And many others that I've not mentioned. You would probably learn them as you go on with learning in even high school. Let's look at fungal diseases. Which are these fungal diseases? The athlete's foot is one of the fungal diseases. The athlete's foot is one of the fungal diseases. The ringworms is also a fungal disease. Those are fungal diseases and many others that you would do research and find out. Then we come to the viral diseases. Viral diseases are very dangerous, and we have measles and yellow fever. Measles, yellow fever. We've got the measles, yellow fever, HIV. You can even say the COVID-19. COVID-19 is also a viral disease, and so many other diseases that you may know of. And so I had given you the answer, the one that contains bacterial diseases. Any disease, any choice that has this lists there, that is the right answer. Let's go to number 11. The main reason why communicable diseases spread so easily or so quickly is the reason why communicable diseases. From your class 6 lesson, unit number 2 on health education, we learned what communicable diseases are. These are diseases which spread from one person to another. These are diseases that spread from one person to another. And they spread through the following ways. Contaminated air, through contaminated water, through contaminated food, through insect bites, and through body fluids. These are the ways in which they spread. And so the reason why they spread easily. Let's look at the choices. They are not easy to treat. They are infectious. People live together. Food can easily be contaminated. And the answer is that they are infectious. And let's look at some of these communicable diseases. Examples of the communicable diseases as learned in class 6 are malaria. Malaria is one example. TB for tuberculosis. Common cold or the flu. Typhoid fever, and ringworm. These ones are communicable diseases. And so please remind yourselves for that. Now, number 12 says the vaccine given through the thigh is dash. And I have endeavored to remind us these vaccinations, these vaccines. I have endeavored to remind us on vaccines. they are also always given to childhood diseases. And one example of the vaccines are polio and BCG. Polio and BCG. These ones are given at birth. Polio and BCG are given at birth. Immediately the baby is born, is given a vaccine called polio and BCG. And this is polio 1. BCG has tuberculosis inside it. And polio is given through the mouth. It is oral. It is oral. And then BCG is given on the left arm. On the left arm, the upper arm of the left hand. That's where BCG is given. Then we come to polio 2 and diphtheria, DPT. DPT is diphtheria 1. Diphtheria is given on the thigh. Diphtheria is given on the thigh at 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, we get the diphtheria vaccination. Polio 3 and DPT2. DPT2 and polio 3 are given at 10 weeks. 10 weeks. 10 weeks. Polio 4 and DPT3 are given at 14 weeks. And finally, yellow fever and measles are given at 9 months. Measles and yellow fever are given on the right arm. On the right arm. So from this explanation on this table, we can be able to answer this question. It is on the thigh. What is given on the thigh is DPT. DPT is given on the thigh. So the answer is DPT. So we can write here DPT. Thank you. Let's look at the diagram given there. It's a diagram of a flower of a plant, and I know you're familiar with this diagram and you've learned about it before. We're going to use it to answer questions 13 to questions 15. Questions 13 to questions 15. You can see the diagram. It's well labeled with letters. But the question 13 asks, which of the following parts is not correctly matched with its functions? Which of the following parts is not correctly matched with its function? And this one has that's made me to list down the parts of a flower, not in any order, but I want us to look at their functions, parts of a flower and their functions. The petals is the brightly colored part of the flower, and it's used for attracting insects. Especially during pollination. It works to attract insects during pollination, and it also acts as a cover for the internal parts of the flower. Number 2, sepals. Sepals are green in color. They are green in color. Their work is to protect the flower in its bud stage. BUD, bud stage. Protect the flower in its bud stage. Then you come to the stigma. The stigma receives pollen grains. During pollination. Then the style. The style connects the stigma to the ovary. Connect the stigma to the ovary. Then the ovary produces ovules. The ovules are the female reproductive cells. Of a plant. The female reproductive cells of a plant are called the ovules. The anthers, their work is to produce pollen grains. The work of the anthers is to produce pollen grains. The filament. Filament is for holding the anthers. for holding the anthers. And then the pollen grains, they are the male reproductive cells of a plant. Then the flower stalk joins. The flower stalk joins the flower to the branch or stem. Those are the functions of the external parts of a flower, and you can see them there. Please, boys and girls, replay this video as many times as possible to make sure you understand and memorize all this that we are learning here. And so we look at the choices of question number 13. The choices of question number 13. And they include part Q. Part Q is here. Part Q holds the parts of the plants together. Part Q holds the parts of the plants together. Part P protects the flower during budding stage. Part P protects the flower during the budding stage. Part N is this one, attracts or repels pollinators. Attracts or repels pollinators. And L transfers pollen grains to the ovary. Transfers pollen grains to the ovary. Now, here I can see P. P is very, very important. P is the answer. P says protect the flower during its bud stage. As we can see here, P is the sepal. The sepal protects the flower in its bud stage when it is still growing. And that is the answer to the question. Now they have said which one is not correctly matched. Let's see which other one is correct. Yeah? And then protects the flower during the budding stage. Q holds the part. Q is the flower stalk, correct? Holding the flower stalk joins the flower to the branch. That's also holding, correct? That is correct. L is the one that is not correct, transferring pollen grains to the ovary. L does not do that function. Its work is to hold the anther in its position. That is work, but not transferring. This is a style. L is the style. It does not transfer pollen grains to the ovary. Boys and girls, let's quickly go to question number 14. Question number 14. I'm not going to write the question. Because of time, and I hope you will bear with me. I'm not going to write the question. Remember, the whiteboard needs to be neat. So I have to really. Question number 14 says, part J, M, N, and P. Parts J, M, and N, and P. Parts J, M, N, and P are dashed respectively. Part J is the anther. J is the anther. M is the style. M is the style. N is the petal. N is the petal. P is the sepal. P is the sepal. That is the answer. And so let's look in the choices. Anther, stamen, corolla, calyx, wrong. B, anther, filament, petal, sepal, wrong. C, anther, pistil, corolla, calyx, wrong. D, anther, style, petal, and sepal is the answer. So the answer here is D. The answer here is D. Correct. Question number Fine. 15. Question number 15. Parts K, M, and O. Parts K, M, and O. Parts K, M, and O. Question 15. That was 14. Question 15. Parts K, M, and O make up dash. Let's look at part K. What is part K? Part K is the stigma. Part K is the stigma. M. Let's look at M. M is the style. M is the style. O. O is the ovary. O is the ovary. And these ones are the female parts of the flower, and they are called the pistil. They are the female parts of a flower, and they are known as collectively pistil. Some books call them the carpel. The carpel. Carpel. Some books call them the carpel, the female parts of a flower. And so, the answer is the pistil. The answer is A, the pistil. A is the answer, the pistil. Let's go to question 16, boys and girls. Question 16, at least we reach 20 at this time. We can reach question 20, and allow me to go very fast because the video is at your disposal and you can be able to replay it as many times as possible to understand better. You can replay it as many times as possible to understand better. So allow me to be very fast. Question 16. Question 16. The following seed stores its food in dash. This is the seed, boys and girls. This is the seed. That is the seed. And you can see what is written there. That's the seed, boys and girls. Allow me to at least label the parts. That is the tester. Tester is also called the seed coat. The seed coat. Tester is also called the seed coat. The seed coat. This one, this part here, is known as the endosperm. Endosperm. That is the endosperm. There is the scar there. That's called the style scar. The style scar. Then we've got the plumule here. Plumule and the radicle there. And together they make the embryo. Then we've got the cotyledon there. Then you've got the scar of attachment to the core. The scar of attachment to the core. That is a maize seed, and the maize is a dicot. Maize is a dicot seed. Maize is a dicot seed. And then the question says, the following seed stores its food in the dash. Let's look at the function of these parts. The function of these parts. Tester. Tester, it protects the internal parts of the seed. That is tester. Let's look at endosperm. Endosperm here. Endosperm in this dicot seed stores food. Let's look at the plumule. Plumule is part of embryo that grows into a shoot system. Then the radicle is part of the embryo that grows into a root system. Then you've got the scar. The scar attaches to the cob. The cob here is the fruit. The cob here is the fruit. The style scar, as it is mentioned, it attaches to the style. So you can see that. You can see those functions. So the one that stores food is the endosperm. And the answer here is C. The answer here is C. Question number 17. Very quickly, question number 17, boys and girls. I hope you are enjoying the lesson and learning something. Once again, I request you to take seriously these lessons. The next 1 month we will still not be in school, and take this one as an opportunity for you to learn from the teacher instead of reading by yourself on your own. Now you have a teacher here with you. Question 17. Question 17 says, Standard 4 pupils of Nanyuki Primary School observed the following characteristics in a weed. Standard 4 pupils observed the following in characteristics of a weed. Fleshy stem, produce blue flowers. Stem grows along the ground. Fleshy stem, produce blue flowers. Stem grows along the ground. The weed is likely to be a wandering Jew, a Mexican marigold, blackjack, and pigweed. Now, as the word suggests, it grows along the ground, and that is definitely a wandering Jew. That is definitely a wandering Jew, and not a pigweed. Now, Mexican marigold grows uprightly. Blackjack has white flowers and with black hooks, and so it attaches itself to the clothes of people. So the answer here is wandering Jew. I'm not going to go into the details of the other characteristics of weeds, but I know you will do that research in your own free time. Question 18. Question 18. The following plants reproduce by means of spores. The following plants reproduce by means of spores. Now, these plants are the algae, the liverworts, the fern, and the moss. And one does not. And the one that does not is liverwort, because liverwort produces by means, it's a flowering plant. Liverworts are flowering plants, and flowering plants are reproduced by means of reproduction. They are fertilized through transfer of pollen grains, and we all know that is a reproductive, not vegetative, but it's there is a sexual reproduction. And so, but the algae, the fern, and the moss are they are non-flowering plants. They are non-flowering plants, and so they reproduce by means of spores. Then 19. So we say this one is liverworts. Liverworts. Liverworts are grown in water places, marshy areas. Question number 19.